Well, it's a DJ set, a radio show, and a YouTube series all in one. My name is Grant Stovel from CKUA's Alberta Morning, and I am beyond thrilled to be able to have a conversation next up announcing the debut of the River Valley Sessions on CKUA. I have some luminaries gathered around in CKUA Studio A to share the good news, including the DJ at the heart of all this, Aladean Kheroufi, who is a feature on CKUA's airwaves as a beloved musician, but CKUA is about to hear this whole other side of his artistry. Dean, thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Thanks for having me, Grant. Love being here.
And I think in many ways the mastermind behind all of this is one Wany Gretz from Oilers Nation. Wany, what a delight to have you here.
What am I doing here, you may be asking, dear listener?
Yes, I think we should get to the bottom of that.
It's advanced.
And we have a couple of other dignitaries joining us as well. Kennedy Burgardt from the Nation Network, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you aboard alongside your colleague, Brett Holden. Hello, Brett.
Aloha, how are you?
This is a lot of puzzle pieces going into this exciting multimedia juggernaut. Pursuant to the aforementioned question, Wany, how the heck did all this come about?
Well, so the dog patch where we're shooting this is in our offices. So the second floor of our building down in Riverdale in Edmonton, nestled down by the river, is where we have our hockey internet offices. And when we were putting together the plan for the building, which my sister's an architect, she designed it. So this was our dream. We've been drawing this building on napkins in restaurants since we were little kids. And then we would have a bar downstairs and I would be upstairs doing something, question mark, and away we would go. But we thought, we're up the street from our other project, Little Brick.
Yeah.
Little Brick we opened up in 2014 in an old house down by the river, and we used to run the Nation Network out of Little Brick.
Right.
Like around a cafe.
Right.
So people are having meetings and we're having our own meetings because this is our office, and it was very ill-suited to what we were doing. So we built our new building 2 blocks up the street. And we love Riverdale so much, and to build something on an old grocery store site that had burned down, we were super excited. So we went to the archives, and we found out the history of Riverdale and named things like the Dog Patch is a neighborhood that was down in Riverdale of little brick houses next to the river back in the day. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And they filled it in when they built Canada Place right beside here. So they took all the clay and they went and filled in the Dog Patch. And we're down at the archives. We're like, well, that's what we'll call the restaurant in 11 years when it opens, right? And when we were able to open up everything, unfortunately, Ariane got bothered by me about 2019. And I was like, we got this thing we want to do. And you've got this huge archive of music and we can put it online. And we know that if you do a show every day for 17 years, one day Danish people will buy you, because that's the story of our hockey websites. And we're like, we could probably do something similar. And she's like, well, this sounds like a great idea. Where is this place? Well, the building's not even built yet. And she was like, this is a waste of my time and everybody else's time, and I'm leaving. So we opened up the building in May 2020, which was perfect timing.
Good. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. All the restaurants of the world were locked, and we're like, what we need is one more, a new one. Everyone will be so excited to not go there. But thankfully, we were able to push through with the work of our team. And so finally in 2024, we were able to do our CKUA sessions.
Unbelievable. You built it, and we have come.
It took forever.
This is incredible. And, well, yourself and CKUA's esteemed music library technician turned content director, Ariane Smith-Piquet, have created this thing of beauty, which involves this remarkable artist sitting to my left. His name is Aladean Kheroufi. And Aladean, you're spinning for this at the Dog Patch on Wednesday evenings, broadcast on CKUA at midnight on Saturdays, technically Sunday morning, starting on March 30th. How exciting is this opportunity for you?
I mean, it's just like so fantastic. I mean, I've been DJing for so long, and I've, have such a deep love for buying records. And this one, I get to actually, come to CKUA and peruse through the vault.
Yeah, it's almost like you've done everything but this. Like, you've worked in a record store, you've DJ'd, we've played your records on CKUA. Now you're coming to CKUA to play records.
Yeah. What's next? Is there the ceiling?
I don't know. Let's just keep going deeper and deeper. So you've been delving into CKUA's vast and vaunted music vault. How's that been going?
It's been great. I mean, and the way I treat it's like treating it like a record store. You're just going through and finding stuff that you think looks interesting. There's stuff that I pick up that I've heard the record before, and other stuff I have no idea what it's going to be until I kind of start going through it. It's like treating it like an educational experience in a lot of ways for me and also for the listener.
Yeah, it's truly a journey, and I've been such a fan of your DJ sets for a long time. I know that you like to take people on a bit of an odyssey. What's the vibe for these sessions, and what's your approach for these?
I mean, there's always going to be a slightly loose theme is the kind of plan for it, but very loose, you know?
Sure, it's gotta be loose.
I mean, I'd say the thing that really does tie it together is my curation.
Yeah.
And like it is, like I was saying, the educational experience. You have to treat it more like a party. It is an educational experience. You know, it can be both.
Right, and it's going to be different from show to show as well, right? Like each one's going to be its own little work of art.
Exactly, yeah. You know, then finding the challenges where I can make, you know, this hour and a half of music fit in like two different environments. The environment where it's a dinner service from 7:30 to 9,
Right.
but also a Saturday night from midnight to 1:30. You know, it's kind of weird. You have to think like, how can it live in both worlds?
Right, it does. So that's Wednesday evenings at the Dog Patch, 7:30 to 9 on CKUA Radio. On Saturday nights, Sunday mornings from midnight till 1:30 a.m. and available anytime via CKUA On Demand. But it's also a YouTube series. Now, Brett Kennedy, I'm really curious to know, like, you take a DJ set and turn it into like a sort of an online TV show. How the heck does that work?
I mean, the production behind it, we do this every day at the Nation Network. So it's basically taking our skill set from there and getting to do music and kind of step away from sports for a second is really kind of therapeutic in a way. Being a sports fan, you know, you get really into it. If the team loses, you're done for the day kind of thing. So getting to step away and, you know, listen to the beats that are spun and seeing the tracks that, you know, are sampled for other music as well is really cool. So put it on YouTube, make it a show. People can tune in, live chat, all that. It's really cool.
That's such a cool way of looking at it because it's as emotional as sports, but instead of living and dying with every breath, it's just all joy.
Exactly.
I love that. That's great. And Brett, I'm curious to know, like, the way I've had a chance to check out the first few episodes of this, and it's glorious. How would you describe on the radio the visual style of this YouTube series?
It feels kind of retro and vintage in kind of a way. You're getting a lot of shots of what Dean is spinning. Like you get to see the vinyls. Dean bought really cool like covers for the vinyls as well. So you get a cool little visual in that way as well. But it's also very much it's almost like you're a fly on the wall at the restaurant. You get to see Dean get to interact with people who are just walking by. Sometimes Dean has a French onion soup, and you're joining him for a dinner as well. Like it's you're there at the restaurant, and I think that's a really cool aspect of it. As it's a restaurant. There are people there who don't even know it's going on, and it is a very good restaurant. That's why I think some of the foods that Dean gets, you're going, okay, I can get that at Dog Patch on Wednesday when they're going. So, I think it's a very cool experience as to just kind of being a fly on the wall at a cool, good restaurant, listening to awesome music, and you kind of catch the atmosphere through the camera.
And I know you're going to be able to feel the French onion soup through the radio, too.
Yeah, and smell it, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we couldn't be more excited at CKUA for all this, the partnership, the fact that this is like a beautiful multimedia, contemporaneous community celebration in so many ways. And Wany, I know you're a longtime fan of all things old school Edmonton and Alberta.
CKUA specifically.
Right, which is very old school, been around since 1927.
Love CKUA.
So tell us a bit about that, your connection to CKUA.
Well, I mean, I went to the University of Alberta, and I don't necessarily know all my facts, but you guys had some sort of genesis on campus right back in the day. And I can remember, like, I wrote one article for the Gateway newspaper, and they came to me and said, "We don't need you anymore." And I said, "Isn't this a volunteer job?" And they're like, "Yes." And I said, "So being fired from a volunteer position," I wrote one article, right? This was the ascending of the media landscape. And then I remember being at the U of A looking at their student radio station, and then them telling me about CKUA. And learning about it. And I was just floored that, like, when you guys were putting up your aerials earlier in the century, like, you were a startup. You were a multimedia startup really early on. And the hobbyists that got the first, DJ board and got the first equipment, it's no different than what we're doing in Dog Patch and doing up above. We have our own mixing boards. We're learning as we go. And, one of the interesting things, Ariane gave me a bunch of old photos, right? And so I was looking through the old photos of CKUA. These people look just like us. right? But it's just a different time, right? So they're using the best technology of the time to try to connect with their fellow Albertans. And I just think it's a wonderful place. It's a magical place being here. I love CKUA.
I'm so inspired by what you say, and it makes me think, I wonder where this will be 95 years from now, just like CKUA's at that stage down the road.
Yeah, I bet you if you went back and showed the first CKUA producers what we're doing in 2024 with technology and broadcasting around the world and how the terrestrial radio is only a portion of what you're doing, it's mind-blowing that you take a little bit of content and put it across 10 platforms and they all develop audiences of their own and they can get really big. One of the things that blew our mind at the Nation Network, which was started by my best friend and I, like in our underwear when we were kids at my mom's house, was that very quickly we had an international audience. And the third busiest city to Oilers Nation for a long time was Helsinki, Finland.
Wow.
And it blew our mind. We don't know anybody in Helsinki, Finland. We don't speak Finnish. Just Finnish people love hockey. And there's a really big Finnish community of Oilers fans, and we connected with them. And CKUA similarly has fans all around the world too, right? And I think that you're able to take that spirit of CKUA and broadcast it all around the world, or do it in a new partnership with an internet company and take music that maybe hasn't been heard in a long time and put it on the internet for people all around the world to enjoy. That's badass. That is as cool as it gets where I'm from.
I've got goosebumps. My goodness. Okay, well, one quick lightning round then. Thank you all so much for being here. What you say, Wany, reminds me that, at CKUA, a lot of it comes down to community. It comes down to arts and culture. It comes down to music. This is going to be a celebration of music, this whole thing. At the Dog Patch Live, Wednesday evenings. It's going to be on CKUA's airwaves, midnight on Saturday nights, on YouTube as well. Yep. Lots of music will be shared. What's one musical pick that, just off the top of your head, you would love to see appear at some stage during the River Valley sessions?
Well, what Dean's doing that's really interesting is he's playing soul music that gets sampled in hip hop. And I love rap. Like, I love rap so much. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, is that the song from Hotline Bling? Dean, you've done it again, right? So I love, and these guys too, their heads pop up. Is that 21 Savage? Like, no, that's the soul song they're sampling at the beginning of the new 21 Savage song. And I think that's really, really cool. So that would be sort of my generic answer, is anytime the Dean's sampling hip hop melodies, we're in. This is awesome.
Yeah, when I got the best of Parliament Funkadelic, I was like, what? Oh my gosh, this is where all my favorite songs come from. Oh, what about you, Kennedy? Have you got like a music pick that, or something you've heard on the series so far that you've loved?
Honestly, just kind of any of the vibe that makes it between now it going on to Saturdays as well, making kind of feel that connection of, yes, I'm in a restaurant, but yes, it's also, I can get kind of bump into this on a Saturday night. I really do think Dean does a really great job of picking the music that flows evenly. So I'm excited to see what else he can do. So
it's because he's a bass player. They secretly control the universe, those bass players. Brett, what about you? Got a music fave pick?
Well, for me, it's very much, it's kind of similar, just the vibe and that type of stuff. But for me, a lot of the things remind me of listening to music when I was a child with my mother or my grandfather or something like that. So just being able to hear songs that can kind of take me back to those kind of times. That's what music really does, is kind of separate you from the immediate moment. And I think Dean has really done a really good job of that. Make sure you listen to some of these recommendations. There's been some more samples than we expected. But so very much just taking you kind of out of the immediate zeitgeist and putting you somewhere where you want to be.
So beautiful, so well put. That's so true. It's about becoming ourselves by escaping ourselves sometimes. Yes. When you get lost in music. Aladean, I know you've had a chance to browse the racks of wax here at CKUA. Is there something you're excited to bring to the airwaves when you find that right moment to drop it in the slot?
It's a weird answer. I played it a few weeks ago as we've been doing like kind of travel or trial runs. It's a Stephen Stills record from 1984. That's the whole record's not that good, but he does a cover of "Only Love Can Break Your Heart."
Really?
But 1984, like full on like 80s production, like big cheesy drum machines, big DX7 synthesizer, like keys on it, and it's just like absolutely gorgeous. Rest of the record, you could probably take it or leave it, but the one cover is kind of nice.
What a sterling example of what makes you such a great music curator. If I saw that album, I probably wouldn't have I would have passed it right by. But
that makes sense, yeah.
You found the hidden gem. That's beautiful. And I've worked here for like 18 years. I didn't know that existed. Thank you, Aladean. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Kennedy.
Thank you.
And Wany.
Thanks for having us. It's been an honor.
Well, the River Valley Sessions launching on CKUA March 30th. That's Saturday, March 30th / Sunday the next morning. It airs from midnight until 1:30 a.m. right after open nights. It's also a live DJ set that happens at the Dog Patch 7:30 till 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. And of course, you can catch it on YouTube. Please do subscribe at Edmonton River Valley on YouTube so you can catch every set. And there is a fabulous piece on the River Valley Sessions that's just gone up at CKUA.com. The River Valley Sessions live on CKUA starting at midnight, March 30th.